What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Waterboy Podcast. It is episode 280, and Travis Hunter is your Heisman Trophy winner. The transfer portal schedule is absolutely broken, disgusting, vile, gross, abhorrent to the sport that we all love. And Josh Allen is the best player in the NFL. Oh my God. Josh Allen is so good at football. It blows my mind every week. Real quick on Josh Allen, I saw. Okay, I think we're going to talk about the same
stat.
Over Josh Allen's last 3 games, he has over 1,000 yards, all-purpose, throwing and rushing. He has 13 touchdowns and 0 turnovers. Is it 16 touchdowns? Did I get that wrong?
Josh Allen, since getting engaged, Grant, 14 touchdowns, 1.3 thousand yards, 0 turnovers, 0 sacks.
And is that 3 games?
I believe that's.
I think it's 3 games.
If that's, it has.
If that's 2 games, call the ambulance, call the police, call the FBI. We've got a murderer on the loose.
Haley Steinfeld quite literally turned this guy into the second coming of Joe Montana.
Yeah, Josh Allen is so good at football. He's
winning MVP. If he doesn't win MVP this year, something is seriously wrong.
Now, real quick, do we know how many? Has he ever won an MVP? One?
No, has headphones on or earbuds. That was.
Oh yeah, ideal. I would also say, in a way, there, I feel like your mic was very loud there, which it's not a you problem. Don't change it. It's good, but I think my mic just overloaded for a second. It's not used to that much audio input. Yes,
it felt threatened a little bit.
It's not used to that much, so I'll put that on me. Yeah, I'll be honest. I would say among my knowledge of awards, I would say my NFL award knowledge is the lowest of low. NBA knowledge, I think I could get the last 10 NBA MVPs, but yeah.
I feel like MVP knowledge in the NFL is not really complicated because it's really one of 4 people over the last
that's
years.
True. I just don't really remember those. Josh Allen doesn't have any. Josh Allen's best achievement in the NFL was second team All-Pro in 2020. The fact he's only made the All-Pro team once is kind of ridiculous, but whatever.
I'll just say, if you want a Super Bowl for the fans, Grant, Super Bowl for the fans would be Bills Vikings.
Super Bowl for the fans.
For the fans.
Yeah, no, I think people will get along on the Vikings hype train right now.
But I'm also just saying that because the 2 franchises historically, when it comes to playoff success, that are everybody always compares each other to, is the Bills and the Vikings currently. But obviously, Chargers and Vikings are just the complete equals
we are the
of each
same
other.
Team.
We are the
exact same team.
Except we actually hire competent coaches. So,
well, no, you have an owner. That's the owner diff.
True.
Owner difference.
True. Yeah, that is a big difference.
Owner gap.
But yeah, I mean, Grant. So we're recording this on Monday. It's going up Tuesday. So by the time that this comes out, Monday night's games will already be over. But Grant, I have some fun facts for you for tonight's whiteout game for the Vikings. First of all, Grant, I just want to preface this. Quite literally, this will make sense in a second. But Grant, the halftime performer for the Vikings game tonight is Vanilla Ice.
Oh, okay. That's not what I thought. Okay.
You would never guess it, but whiteout game, Vanilla Ice. I'm sorry.
So I feel like
funny.
I feel like we brought this up before, but in terms of biggest fans for specific NFL teams, one fan that I've been made aware of recently that I didn't quite know, but one of the Minnesota Vikings' biggest celebrity fans is Blake Shelton. And I thought there was going to be something with him, but
also Young Gravy,
Vanilla Ice is
big.
Oh, I did not know that, but that
from Minnesota.
Yeah, I mean, young gravy gets the people going. But
But
Vanilla
I'm just
Ice
saying,
is the perfect.
he's
The perfect
only
guy for
he's
this.
only coming. Vanilla Ice definitely was only hired for one reason only, just to sing "Ice Ice Baby."
He doesn't even
And
actually need to like sing that. He just needs to say "Ice,
just
Ice, baby."
Ice
That's all.
Baby.
He
Yeah,
just needs to
that's
say it
it.
like 4
That's
times
it. That's
to
just the
the.
one song they're gonna play it
Yeah,
on repeat the entire halftime, and it's just because the game is supposed to be ice themed, like Snow White out. Like that's
I'm
it.
going to watch this halftime show now. That's not something I typically tune into, other than a few years ago, the Super Bowl halftime show. I will never forget the weekend for not
Let's
playing.
not
I can't feel my face when I'm with you
not
first.
starting with yeah.
I will
Yeah.
never get over that. My
Yeah, you
God,
guys can go back and watch that
he
episode
changed his
if you're
set
curious
list
why.
last minute. He changed it. He had to have. He had to have. There's no other explanation. He found out. Vegas found out, and they forced him to change the
Yeah.
set list, and he played
But
Starboy first.
but Grant, if you want to know how much the Vikings mean business here, guess who's sounding the Gallahorn tonight?
Was
You
the
get
is
one
that the duct tape actually
made it worse.
messes it up? I don't. It's the best way I could describe it. It's like this is not the USB-B cable that
Yeah,
shipped
you've
with
said
my
that
microphone.
before. You got to buy a new one.
But this is the thing. Like this is a brand new USB-B. I got a new one, but I think like this mic has something with the cable where it like has to be the original USB-B that came with
Yeah,
it.
you might have to order that type,
Well,
I guess,
this is a new
the brand.
No,
I'm saying
yeah,
the brand or whatever.
no, I know, but I don't know if Blue Yeti specifically sells USB-B cables for
They
the Blue
might
Yeti.
on their they like have the accessory pages. I feel like
Maybe. It is a disaster right now though. But
yeah. Guess who's sounding the Gallahorn tonight?
I'm gonna guess Blake Shelton. It's definitely not him, but
No, Joe Mauer. The Vikings mean business, Grant. Joe Mauer is sounding the Gallahorn tonight.
okay. All right, that's the perfect answer. That's the perfect answer for the man to pump up the crowd, get everyone going. It's
not Vanilla Ice.
It's Mr.
Joe
Minnesota,
Mauer.
Joe
It's
Mauer.
Joe Mauer.
I'm gonna start using that nickname. He's Mr. Minnesota. I think he should have had that title years ago.
He gets that over Adam Thielen. He gets that over Adam for sure.
Yeah,
100%. Adam Thielen's
Adam
the
Thielen
only
is
person
the
in competition.
mayor of Minnesota. Okay.
Then you have Larry Fitzgerald, but he didn't play in Minnesota, so it kind of doesn't work.
Yeah. Well, also I found this out. Is Brock Lesnar a de facto Minnesotan because he wrestled for the Minnesota Golden Gophers? I believe
on the P squad for the Vikings. I believe.
Yeah, I believe he now lives in Canada, but he talks about
very
Minnesota
weird.
is his home.
The WWE, a lot of current like WWE stars for whatever reason played on the Vikings. For whatever reason,
yeah.
Like I think Roman Reigns did. I believe like Brock Lesnar did. That might be it, but still very notable WWE stars. So.
Yeah,
I do not think The Rock ever made it there.
Yeah, I think The Rock had an XFL stint.
That or CFL. I think it was CFL.
He sounds like a Toronto Argonaut if I've ever heard of one. So, Dwayne Johnson's your edge rusher for the Argonauts. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I will be following along on Paramount Plus streaming. Okay. Big week of NFL. We did have some great games. I guess we can just finish up NFL or start off NFL. That Bills Lions game. Oh my goodness.
So
Buffalo
Bills look for real.
Wow.
Gross.
After last week, I thought maybe the wheels may fall off. They'd lose putting up 40 against the Rams. Like, yikes, that could be a bad sign.
Sean McVay is just the one guy who just like for what he'll figure it out.
Especially in shootouts. He's participated in the greatest football game of all time, won it. Rams Chiefs that one year in the Coliseum. In a shootout, you don't doubt McVay in a shootout. That's just.
Was that in the Coliseum or was that in Mexico?
Coliseum.
I thought that was the Mexico.
Well, I know it was the Coliseum because that year my brother was at USC and he just randomly had tickets with his friend to a Monday night football game, Chiefs at Rams, and it happened to be the greatest NFL football game of the past 40 years. So
I mean,
That's how I
it's not
know
even
it
the past
was
40
at
years.
the
It's the
college.
best football game ever.
Ever. That game was
Ever, quite literally ever.
That's one. And number two, well, 28-3, I guess de facto has to be number one. But I'd say number three would be Vikings Bills from a couple of years ago. Oh my!
I was gonna say
God.
Vikings Saints, but Vikings Bills, yeah.
Vikings. I don't know why I'm specifically. That game was nuts in Buffalo too, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we were getting
nuts.
torched.
That game was nuts.
Also, though, Colts Vikings that same year, Vikings came back down.
Well, that year you just
points.
played in excellent football games. I think you were 11-0.
No, my lifespan single leap probably decreased about a decade from that 2022 season alone.
Yeah, but potentially. Yeah, potentially. But I'd say that this week though, overall, that the Bills offense.
Bills look disgusting. I took them. I'm just saying I knew, Grant. But here's the other thing.
I think that was slightly Lions hate coming out of you also, but
maybe.
Yes.
Maybe, but the Lions are obviously like just down everybody. Their entire team is on IR essentially. And I'll be honest, you never pray for injuries, but I don't have sympathy because the Lions fans last year when, Kirby Joseph was hunting kneecaps,
TJ Hawk,
and they were hunting kneecaps, and basically they were telling like us, like we were complaining about the Kirk Cousins injury. We're like, oh, we would have beaten you if we have like Kirk Cousins. They're like, injuries are part of the game. Like, just get over it. I have zero sympathy for Lions fans this year because of the fact that they're like, oh, hey, injuries are part of the game. Injuries are part of the game, guys. That's what you guys said last year. That's what applies this year. Plus, the whole sign last year when they were going to the playoffs where like the kneecap sign. Do you remember this? We have kneecap Vikings check mark. Other kneecap Rams check mark. Punk out of them versus Bucks.
I don't think I remember this, but I need to see this sign.
Last one.
Let me find it.
I'll send it to you right now. But because of this sign, because of like that experience, I legitimately have no sympathy at all for any Lions fans, for anybody who's complaining about injuries that is a Lions fan. Said it last year, injuries are part of the game. So figure out a way to get around it because that's what you told us before. Just saying. But
yeah, I think one of my favorite storylines on this podcast since we started is your growing beef with the Detroit Lion fan base. It's a rivalry that I've been monitoring closely, and I think we're pretty close to seeing the pot on top of the top on top of the pot to start coming off because it's boiling. Oh yeah, it's boiling. Yeah. It's about to overflow with the boiling bubbles right now.
Oh, no, trust me. If the Lions end up having their like best franchise year in over 2 decades, and the Vikings still win the NFC North in a year they were supposed to rebuild, oh no, the Lions fans, I'm telling you now, you do not want to tune into that episode. The hate's going to be flowing.
I'm personally putting Lions fans on watch right now. I'm personally putting them on watch. Any Vikings fans, get ready for an excellent hate watch podcast coming up here soon. It's going to be happening in full effect when the Lions lose in the playoffs. Oh my God. You're about to have a field day. Yeah. You're about to have a field day that next Monday.
If that lines up with the day that I'm going to be in California, and we will have to like either live stream or record ourselves while watching that game just to get my innate reactions, my pure live reactions to the game in the moment.
Yeah, there's a lot of potential with what the Lions could not do coming up here pretty soon. But I was just saying real quick, overall, looking at a little outlook, semi-standings involved playoff picture as we're winding down, kind of having things finalized. Real quick, I'm paying a lot of attention to AFC, obviously, because of Chargers. But this past week was a very, very big week in terms of movement in the playoff seeding. So going into the week, Chargers, I believe, were tied with the Broncos at 8-5.
Yep.
As of right now, the Chargers have a tiebreaker over the Broncos with head-to-head beating them earlier in the year. But Chargers get eviscerated by the Tampa Bay. And I mean dismantled.
Bad.
Dismantled, broken down, and repurposed.
Dobbins back stat.
Yeah, no, quite literally. The team is atrocious without J.K. Dobbins. The offense is like literally non-existent. Uh, but losing that game, Broncos winning is very big. Thursday night football this week. The Denver Broncos come to SoFi Stadium. It is the biggest game of the
You
year
might have to
for
go
the
to
chart.
that.
No, literally, I'm texting Chad right now. Like we are working on that, and Jeff, I'm trying to get just the Chargers
Yeah.
squad together. We need numbers. We need to be in
Yeah,
numbers
you
for
need to
this
show
one.
out in pride.
Yeah, but this is going to be the game of the year. Chargers win this game. They'll be tied with
Oh,
Denver, but
hey,
they'll have the
you gotta step
tiebreaker.
that back. That is the Chargers game of the year. That is not
No,
the
yeah,
game of
no.
the year.
Yeah,
Not
yeah.
the game of the year.
For me, it is my
Yeah,
game of
there
the
you go.
year. Chargers need to win this game to keep the 6 seed. If Chargers have the 7 seed and they have to go to Buffalo round 1, no. I'm not doing
Atrocious.
it. I'm not doing it. Let me go on the road to I mean, I wouldn't want to go to Baltimore, but give me that over Buffalo.
I think
Give me
you'd
some
much rather go to
Harbaugh.
Kansas City than you go to Buffalo.
Yeah, I do not want to go to Buffalo.
I'll
No.
also be honest, like
The
I
Chargers
don't
cannot keep up with the Buffalo
there's a
scoring.
very
So
real
So
chance the Bills end up having the 1 seed.
oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's 3 games left. Let me
Grant,
see.
they
Let me
played the
see.
Patriots
Remaining.
twice and the Jets. That's all
Let
the
me
Bills.
see
They play
Chiefs.
the Bills played Patriots twice and the Jets. They're winning all
Okay.
3 of those.
Okay. I'm looking
So
at
they'll be
Chiefs
14
remaining.
and 3.
Okay. Chiefs got Texans at Steelers at Broncos. That is not easy. That is not
Yeah, so
easy.
Bills presume are 14 and 3. I think the Chiefs have a tiebreaker over Buffalo because I think they beat them in that game. I can't entirely remember.
No, they did not. The only
Oh, yeah,
Chiefs
no,
loss is Bills.
so the Bills have the tiebreaker. So
That's
Bills
actually really
Bills
big. Okay.
that could be huge.
Yeah. And
Um
also to point out for the Chiefs, they play this Sunday, the 21st, normal. And then Everett, they have a 3-day turnaround. I believe they play Saturday. Then
play
they
on
have a
Christmas.
3-day turnaround on Christmas. They'll play on Wednesday.
Yeah, also, hey, real
That's
quick,
Pittsburgh.
NFL or if it's NCAA, whoever scheduled it so we have NFL games and
It's
college
the
football
NFL.
playoffs the
It's the
same
NFL.
day,
It's the NFL who did that.
diabolical.
It's the NFL who did that.
I don't think I have a TV set up enough to be able to handle
You don't.
all those games.
You don't. None of us
I don't
do.
think my brain will be able to handle all those games. I also hope that my Sunday ticket applies to those Saturday games, even though it's not Sunday. You'll get real interesting.
Well, I would imagine those are just no, the Christmas games are on Netflix.
Or Netflix, yeah, which I don't have, but probably one of the only people on the planet I don't have Netflix. But yeah, no, I mean, going into the NFC side of things though, this past week, Vikings clinched playoffs. Bears got eliminated from the playoffs. But the bigger thing, Grant, the Vikings will have the 1 seed if they win out. If the Vikings win tonight and then the next 3 games, the Vikings have the 1 seed.
Okay.
Over the Lions.
What are your remaining games?
Not necessarily great, but Seahawks next week, which may or may not have Geno. No Geno, Sam Howell.
Is it in Seattle?
It's in Seattle.
I love that for you. Geno is awful at home. I love that for you. He's so bad at home.
The last 2 games of the season, Grant, Packers in Minneapolis, which, by the way, nosebleeds are $600 for. Yeah.
What is that? Sunday after Christmas?
29th.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And then the last game of the season, which could quite literally be for the division and for the 1 seed at Lions.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, but I love that though. I love that though, that there's still going to be at least one very meaningful football game week 18. I like that for me, selfishly. Yeah. For me. Not for you. I mean, you probably don't like that, but I do.
I am here.
That.
I mean, the Lions, rest of the season, they play the Bears, then the 49ers, which is no giving. It's in San Francisco, and then the Vikings. Eagles is the only other team that you really got to worry about for that 1 seed. Commanders, which I'm going to be honest, I'm telling you right now, I'm taking the Commanders in that game, probably. and then Cowboys and Giants, which wash. So
Yeah. I mean, right now I'm just looking at the standings. Just I can't believe this is true, but the Rams are technically the leading their division right now. They're
it's
eight
it
and
is
six.
it's diabolical, Grant, that you could have multiple teams with 12 plus wins or 13 wins be 5 seed, 6 seed, possibly even the 7 seed.
No, the NFC is just super deep. Like AFC,
But like
it's top.
it's not even like it's super deep. The teams are deep in individual divisions, specifically the NFC
Yes.
North, because the Packers, the Vikings, and the Lions, and all those teams are going to end with more than 10 wins, which is crazy.
No, yeah, that's ridiculous. You already have 3 teams with 10 wins. That's ridiculous.
In that one division, there are 4 teams in the NFC alone that have 10 wins that are in the playoffs.
Yeah, NFC is just ridiculously tough this year. It's absurd. AFC, nice easy pickings coming up here. If we're looking at a Chargers window, just a couple teams you got to look out for. But yeah, no, this picture is shaping up. It is getting quite interesting down here at the end.
Somehow Cincinnati
NFC
has
wildcard
yet to be
hunt
eliminated.
Yeah, I guess technically they're 6-8. I guess in theory they could be 9-8.
Well, to be fair,
chance,
all 3 teams behind you for the 7 seed, all 3 of them are 6-8.
Oh yeah, no, Chargers are pretty much locked in. Like Chargers have to go 0-3.
Not impossible for the Chargers.
No, it isn't
for the Chargers.
The Chargers' remaining schedule is pretty nice. Broncos on Thursday, and then Chargers finish.
I'm going to be honest.
Broncos, Patriots, Raiders. I mean,
here's a question for you. And this is a game tactics question, right? Obviously, players play. You have bonuses and like wins and stuff and whatever, right? But a team like Houston that is not going to be in contention for the 1 seed, they're going to end up having, I mean, you could argue, they're most likely going to have the 4 seed. Maybe they could get the 3 seed, but they're not getting the 1 or 2 seed. They've already clinched their division. Would there be a point where you would just, they've already clinched the division. Would there be a point where you would just be like, screw it. I'm just not going to play my starters anymore. I'm going to rest them for the playoffs.
I think that's
like let's say
decision.
This next week. Let's say that this next week the Steelers. It's the Steelers win this next week. Houston loses, so it's a 2-game split. They can't get the 3 seed. They're stuck with the 4 no matter what. For the next 2 weeks, the final weeks 17 and 18, do you just not play your starters?
I think at least for that last week, pull them. There's no point of playing them. I'm looking at Brandon Staley from 2 years ago. He played all the starters last week and like 3 dudes get hurt. And I'm just like, why did he do that in a meaningless football game? So there is that. So like at minimum, 1 game. Yes. Last game. Bench them. I am thinking though, maybe is 2 weeks. Is that too much time off?
Well, I think you do get into a sense where, like, obviously you're talking about player bonuses and guarantees and stuff, and you don't want to be like, hey, I'm benching you when you're 5 yards away
from that angle. They're going to play,
right?
Yeah.
But I would be curious, like from a health standpoint, do you like if with 2 weeks ago that week 17 game, do you play them for a half?
Them, yes.
Do you play them for a half and then let them just take them out, and then 18 they just don't play at all? So they at least get that first half.
Yeah, like depends on the player. Like if I'm the Texans, I would say like that first half you let like CJ play. Like maybe Nico is close.
You could also argue maybe
like
you want them
Will
to play
Anderson, you're not playing a snap. No. If you get hurt, done. No. Stingley,
maybe
bench. No.
Maybe you don't play them in the first half. Maybe you play them the second half so it's a little bit more fresh in their minds comes playoff time. That'd be interesting. Can you imagine that? That'd be interesting if you let the bench players play the first half and you're like, all right, starters go in the second half.
My one concern is that there's a chance that you're just blown out at halftime and then there's no point of putting them in game script things. But like, I think there's a balance to it. Like, and it depends on position, but like running backs, like Joe Mixon, no, you're not looking at the football field. No. Like Will Anderson, no. Derek Stingley, no, you're not looking at the field. Like those guys, like Nico Collins, I'm not even sure if he can get any awards because he missed so much time. So if that's the
I
case,
don't think so.
you're on the bench, buddy. We're not playing you. You need to be healthy for the playoffs. Like, we might have Baltimore round 1 or Pittsburgh. Like, yeah, you need to be playing for that.
Oh, God, dude. Well, actually, I'll be honest. Baltimore in the playoffs kind of just reeks.
True. No, very true. Very true.
It would be funny though if you had the Harbaugh Bowl. Actually, if I was the Chargers, I would not want that. But
No, I wouldn't want it, but I'd rather have the Harbaugh Bowl than Chargers go to Buffalo. I'd
oh
rather
yeah,
have
I think
Harbaugh Bowl.
it's the worst case situation for a playoff game for any team.
None of them are good scenarios. I don't expect the Chargers to win either.
No, but no
I'd
matter
rather
what,
have that.
the biggest home field advantage in the AFC is one Buffalo, two Taylor Swift in attendance. So, I mean, we'll see. But I mean, outside of that, like not too much. Playoff picture's been shaping up. But I mean, yeah, not much in the NFL going on. More teams eliminated than not. Patrick Mahomes might be hurt too. That's another thing.
He will be playing next week.
Yeah, the Toradol will be in there.
He will be playing.
But Grant, I texted you this the other week or the other day, and I'm curious what you think because you never ended up responding to it. If CMC retired at the end of the season, would he be a Hall of Fame player?
I think, yeah.
You think he'd make it?
Yeah.
I feel like that's one of those gray areas where like he has done a lot.
Once again, NFL awards. I'm not quite up to date on like Hall of Fame, who gets in and who doesn't.
Hall of Fame is one of those things where I should have like I don't think he's a first ballot Hall of Fame guy. But like he'd probably get in either way eventually.
I also have no idea what
a lot of those guys get in like super late. Like you could get it in 80 years from now.
Yeah, I'm just looking up NFL Hall of Fame. Like, I just want to look up the last 30 inductees.
The last 30 inductees?
Yeah, I'm just curious, like, how long ago? Okay, so this most recent year, there were only 7 guys who got it. Dwight Freeney, duh, of course. Randy Gradishar, who was an American football linebacker in the 70s and 80s. So that dude waited.
Yeah, they always get some older guys in there too.
Devin Hester, of course. Andre Johnson, of course. Steve McMichael, who played in the 80s.
Yep.
Julius Peppers, of course. Patrick Willis, of course. But yeah, no, there's still some guys like 80s, 90s who will get it late. Year before.
It's just kind of a curious thing to me where it's like, I don't think he's the first ballot Hall of Famer right now.
Yeah, I'm trying to see. I don't know if this website. Oh, okay. Wait, yeah. Okay. In the most recent class, okay. Dwight Freeney, Devin Hester, Andre Johnson, Julius Peppers, Patrick Willis. How many of those do you think were first ballot?
Julius Peppers.
Patrick
Willis.
And Patrick Willis. Okay.
And Devin Hester.
And Devin Hester. Okay. Of those 5 players, only one of them was first ballot. Which one of those do you think it was?
Julius Peppers.
Julius Peppers was the only first ballot. But that includes Dwight Freeney, Devin Hester, Andre Johnson, Patrick Willis. Yeah, CMC's not first ballot. Hell no.
He might not even be second ballot. He might be like third ballot.
I'm seeing if they know.
When did Luke
second and third?
Luke Kuechly is like on ballot. I don't think he's made it yet, but he is on ballots now to be in the Hall of Fame.
He has.
That's kind of the same. That's kind of the same thought. Wherever Luke Kuechly, however long it takes Luke Kuechly to get in the Hall of Fame.
If Orlando Pace wasn't first ballot, then it's very hard to be first ballot.
However long it's going to take Luke Kuechly to get in the Hall of Fame is how long I think it's going to take CMC to get.
I'm just going to tell you
my equivalent.
I'm just going to tell you the last first ballot players of like the last 10 years. Julius Peppers, that I don't think either is eligible yet.
Peyton Manning should be eligible now. I think Eli Manning is now eligible.
Julius Peppers is 1. Darrelle Revis is 2. Joe Thomas is 3. Calvin Johnson is 4. Peyton Manning is 5.
There you go.
Charles Woodson is 6. And then after that, Troy Polamalu 7. Champ Bailey 8. Tony Gonzalez 9. Ed Reed 10, Ray Lewis, and then Randy Moss, then Brian Urlacher. That's
Yeah.
all. That's as far
Yeah.
back as we'll
Yeah.
go. But yeah, no, CMC's
I
not
mean,
good.
like one or two a year, but it was just more so a curious like
Derrick
question
Henry
because
probably won't be, but he's probably the best NFL running
it's
back
one of
stats
those it's
wise.
just one of those questions where like CMC has all the stats, but he hasn't really done much because of injuries and stuff. And it's like he's a
He
great player,
won't. He won't
great,
get it.
but it's
Yeah.
also like one of those questions where okay, you have a great player, but like they're just great. Like they might not be Hall of Fame, but they might be great player, but just not Hall of Fame player. And that's kind of the bigger question I had just because of all the injuries and stuff. CMC is a
He
great
doesn't
elite
have
player.
longevity.
He's an elite player, but like, does he have enough to be a Hall of Fame player? And I feel like that's kind of a question.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean, I remember I've heard this for a while, but like, I don't want to get too big into this debate. But of like current guys who would make the Hall of Fame, I just remember a while ago, like a Big Cat clip when Stafford was still on the Lions. He said Matthew Stafford's going to make the Hall of Fame just because he has so many yards and everything. He's just going to make it. Then he won the Super Bowl, and now that's locked up. Matthew Stafford's guaranteed Hall
yeah,
of
he'll be
Famer
a first
now.
ballot. Yeah.
But it's like I'm trying to like obviously Mahomes, duh. Like Josh Allen's gonna be first
Lamar
ballot.
will be a first ballot too because of his,
Yeah,
and so
he
will
will
Aaron
be.
Rodgers for sure will be a
Duh.
first ballot.
Yep. Don't even need to think about it. Like I'd say other guys on path though. Justin Jefferson's on path for having the early receiving records and breaking them. He's on path.
Yep. So is Jamar Chase technically as
Jamar
well.
Chase is also on that path. Travis Kelce guaranteed.
TJ Watt,
Yeah,
just
he has the single season sack
Garrett.
record.
Myles Garrett
Micah
is
could get that too quite easily. Uh, in terms of like, okay, corners, Jalen Ramsey. What do you think? I'd say no. Yeah, no.
no.
Yeah,
Stephon Gilmore,
no.
Super Bowls.
Maybe, but no. First ballot, definitely not.
Harrison Smith.
Yes.
Yeah,
I don't know about first ballot. That'll be tough, but
yeah. First ballot will be tough, but he is a Hall of Fame guy. I mean, statistically, better than Troy Polamalu.
Polamalu was first team.
So
or first selection. But all right, yeah, that'll do it for NFL. A lot of college football.
Yeah, I want to talk about the first thing I want to talk about college football, Grant. We got a snow game this weekend, Grant.
Penn State,
SMU. Snow is on the ground in at Penn State this year. Today, at least as of today.
Yeah, and you know what? I think our folks from SMU might not be too unfamiliar with a snowy environment. So, yeah, this should be interesting.
What do you mean by that?
I don't mean anything. This should be an interesting game. A fun matchup. What I want to bring up though, real quick about that. The transfer portal is an absolute disaster in this sport. Penn State's backup quarterback, Bo Pribula, has entered the transfer portal. And I don't know if this was a Pribula decision or Penn State decision, but he will not be with Penn State for the playoff, meaning Penn State, I believe, has one scholarship quarterback on their roster for the playoffs.
That's the thing that like it bothers me because the way the portal's structured, if they're with the team, they can't really be in the portal because you still can't contact them. So you'd either have to wait until after the game or you have to leave. And because of the way that the portal's structured, all these teams are going in and trying to get quarterbacks now. So if you want your market to be high, you need to leave.
Oh yeah, from his perspective, I'm not blaming him at all. That's
no. I know. I'm not blaming.
And Eller's coming back too. So
yeah, no, I'm not blaming him for it, but I am trying to say that like the portal, the structure and the timing of the portal is just absolutely disastrous. And you would have thought after last year, when Bama was basically ransacked after Saban retired after the national championship game, that they would have moved the way that the transfer portal worked because it's completely at a disadvantage for those good teams.
Yeah,
and they didn't. And like as a general note, like. I think. Oh, microphone's out. But I think as a general note, a general reason, the transfer portal shouldn't be open. Period until after the end of bowl season. Like I think the way that it should work. Okay, after the end of bowl season, obviously after the national championship game, that's when the portal officially opens. And I think any game before then, right? If you lose, you can be like, hey, I'm going to be in the portal, but it doesn't actually open until that date, which is, I think, kind of should be the same way. Like you think about NFL free agency or any other free agency. Hey, we have the actual first day
Oh
the
yeah,
free
yeah,
agency
like
starts, and then you can
yeah,
actually sign everybody then, even though we've been clearly talking to them for the past month.
yeah, like
But
for MLB, I'm pretty sure the second the final out is recorded in the World Series, the 5-day pre-negotiation period begins. Like the second the final out is
like
recorded.
that's also the other thing is like, especially for bowl season, like use Ty Thompson as an example for Tulane, right? He has stated he's going to enter the portal, but he's going to
Staying
play
with
in
the
the
team.
game.
Yeah.
Staying
Okay,
the
so
game
that was a
to
Bo
play the
Pribula
game.
decision.
But the general
I
thing is
think.
like the thing is he's not in the portal officially till after that game. So he can say he's going to be in the portal, but he's not in the portal until after that game is played. So that's like the issue is, technically speaking, he can't do anything while in the portal until after the game is played, because that's when he's officially quote unquote released from being with the team. And
Yeah, I think this is where we
just
get in the
general,
gray area of college football.
I mean, obviously, no matter what, people are going to
They're
contact
obviously going to be
you,
contact. Yeah.
right? But for a general
Nothing
note, for
worse
it
than
to
the
be
dreaded no contact tag when they enter
for
the
it to be
portal.
fair for any team, right? Like you need to have those players, like especially fair for the players, like players on national championship teams who like want to compete but can't because they have to leave in the portal so they can go get playing time. Like, and they
Oh
have
yeah,
to leave.
no, it screws over. Like it harms the players on the teams that make the playoffs. How does
No,
that
yeah.
make sense?
And like from that perspective, it should just be the portal does not open officially. It should just be that it quite literally is free agency just for college. So why do we not use the same structure as football? Like all those teams that are not in the playoffs in the NFL, they still talk, like they talk to free agents or whatever, but they're not allowed to actually sign anybody until after the, like whenever the free agency date is. Like it would be incredibly unfair if, hey, Kansas City Chiefs, they made the playoffs, right? But free agency already open, so we can sign, the Carolina Panthers can start signing players and the playoff teams can't in that regard. Or like
Okay, I'm
that
looking
you
at
have
transfer portal windows.
Yeah, there's a second window too, but still.
Yeah, like right now, okay. Says for fall sports, which I believe they're talking about college football, 45-day winter window opens the day after championship selections are made in that sport. By championship selections, does that mean a crowned champion, or does that mean the playoff field is set?
Playoff field is set.
Okay, that makes more sense.
Also, though, like I
understand.
academically speaking, you need to get kids enrolled and stuff, and you're trying to work around that. But there's an incredible disadvantage still for these teams in the playoffs who cannot do anything with these players. So either change it so players can enter the portal but still be on the teams and play out the rest of the season with their
think
teams.
they can do that. I don't know what the situation with Bo Pribula is.
The thing is, like, they can't leave the team officially until, like, they can't say I'm committed to this other school while I'm still on this school.
From that angle, yes. Yeah, I
That's
see
the problem. And I think that you need to allow players to be able to do that. Like if I'm on Georgia right now, right, and I want to go in the portal, you should allow me to go in the portal while still playing for the team, and I can just commit to wherever, and I'm going to finish out my obligation.
And you can, you're saying while you can commit still during that playoff run?
Yeah, like I'm gonna have a verbal commitment. Obviously, like if I'm Georgia and I want to keep the kid, I'm gonna try and keep him, right? Like I'm in the portal, I'm actively negotiating.
Yeah, entering the portal doesn't mean you leave. So
no, and obviously your agent's dealing with it more than the player themselves are. So at least allow that opportunity, right? And if I go in, like, cool, I know that I'm signed to go to Auburn after this, but I'm gonna play it out. Like a lot of the time, a player is gonna be leaving at the end of their cycle, they're still gonna play out their contract. A lot of the times in professional sports. So, like there's a lot of times where players are known to be gone, or they're about to get traded to another team or something, or go to another school, and they still finish out their games. Transfer portal's got a lot of
Esteban issues. From the Sweet Life of Zach and Cody voice. This is a disaster. I don't know what the hell's going on.
But I mean, yeah, transfer portal needs to definitely get fixed. I mean, it's a problem when you got 6'U", 49-pound kids going in the transfer portal already too. So And when that's become an issue, the transfer
Whoa, whoa,
portal
whoa. Don't
itself has
disrespect Juice like that. Juice is a baller.
Juice is a baller. Hey,
He's up and coming.
Four-time captain at 5 years old.
Yeah, 4 years old and 11 months. All right. He's got eligibility left for 6U. So don't even worry about that. But yeah, transfer portal is absolutely ridiculous. A lot of transfer portal just news in general. Miller Moss to Louisville.
Yes, yeah.
Ton of other names entering the portal right now, moves happening. Right now, the Ohio State update, Ohio State Twitter is currently in shambles because one of the top kickers in the portal committed to Arizona State instead of us. Yeah, that's the state of Ohio State football right now. We are losing our shit.
He didn't want to play for Ryan Day.
And I don't blame the kid at all. I wouldn't either, especially if I was a kicker. Would definitely not want to play for Ryan Day.
That's another thing that's kind of tough, like with the coaching cycle, is you can't Ryan Day should be fired, but they would definitely no shot they would fire him during the playoff.
They can't do it right now.
So like you're also kind of screwed on that regard too.
Yeah, well, this is the other thing. It's like I'm trying to avoid a Nick Saban situation from what happened last year, where he retires like 3 days after the Natty, and because he retires and Alabama had a coaching change, a Alabama transfer window open, a 30-day window just for the Alabama players to leave. But that window doesn't mean Alabama can now take guys for those other 30 players, days.
Yeah.
Alabama was just in a situation where they only lost and could not gain any players. So like
that's also why I'm saying they need to have that window open. Obviously, that's a special circumstance. Like you don't typically see a coach. And
I don't think anyone saw Nick Saban retiring after last season. That was
I think that needs to be like second window. Like you can't automatically have these guys leave. Like you need to have that second window open. And we also talked about that before with like, oh, these kids who are like freshmen, sophomores, like they shouldn't be allowed to transfer, like have a 2-year fixed commitment to the team. That was something that we talked about in a previous episode. Like that also be an example of something that would and should apply here. Like let the new coach come in, see what they got to say, and then just hit the second portal. Don't like immediately leave at that point. But yeah, Grant, I mean, I think for the sake of college football and the college football playoffs, do you want to go over the college football playoff games that are for this weekend?
We can go over that in a sec. I want to talk about Heisman though real quick.
Oh, true. Yeah, fair.
Yeah, Heisman Trophy, Travis Hunter winning it. Ashton Jeanty coming in second. I don't know this exactly, but I think they were saying like during the show that it was the closest Heisman voting total since I believe 2000.
09.
Oh, was it 09? Oh, for some reason I heard 2000.
Like this is the way the media was portraying it. They were like, after Travis Hunter won, they were like, Travis Hunter showed up on like 94% of the ballots, like that's the most ever. And then somebody like it got community noted. It was like they are not counting how much Ashton Jeanty got accounted for. Ashton Jeanty showed up on 96% of the ballots, Grant. More than Travis Hunter did, which is a record for the Heisman ballots. And on top of that, Ashton Jeanty won the popular vote for the Heisman. And I think it just kind of goes to show, like,
real quick, what is this popular vote that they're talking about?
It's the Nissan like Sports Center. Like they do it on Twitter every week, and everybody votes on it, just like who should get the Heisman. But Grant, like there was like over 900,000 votes for it, like more than that.
Oh, well, I don't think you've been made aware, but Ashton Jeanty fans have created bots on Twitter accounts to vote.
I'm still not even concerned about, I'm not concerned about the bots. Like it was such a runaway situation.
That was helped with bots.
Yeah, but Grant, I don't think bots are making a 25% difference.
Well, that's like exactly where they'd make a difference.
Yeah, I'm saying maybe they make 20%, but there's still that like either way, Ashton Jeanty was going to win.
I don't take anything into account with fan votes.
I'm not saying take it into account. I'm just making the point that Ashton Jeanty won that vote. I'm not like, but as a general thing, also on top of it, it does go to show you where the Heisman votes come into play. Majority of the Heisman votes are media members. And
I'm pretty sure they're all media members.
I don't think they are all media members, but I think they're like 90% media members. But either way, I mean, it kind of goes to show you where like the marketing campaign sides of the Heisman are. Like Deion Sanders, Travis Hunter, very, very heavily marketed compared to what Ashton Jeanty was doing. And I think that kind of came into it a little bit. And like that kind of sucks. Like I think coaching, if like the coaches did the Heisman vote instead of media members, I think Ashton Jeanty probably would have won
I
in that
strongly
situation.
disagree. I think if coaches voted, it
Really?
would be even more so in favor of Travis Hunter because he plays both ways. Every single coach would be like, what? Yeah,
True.
give it to him.
Also, though, when you're averaging 9 yards per carry with 8 men stacked in the box, though, that's about equally as fucking difficult.
I mean, I wouldn't say like equally as difficult. Like
Grant, if you stuck
no
Travis Hunter
one's
in
ever
Boise
done
State,
both ways ever.
not to that degree, well, not
No
ever.
one,
Like
no one has
there are
ever
players that, not to the
the whole
degree.
game
I
ever.
just said not to
No,
the
no, but no
degree of
one's done
Travis
it.
Hunter, but
No,
yes,
yeah,
players have
no
played
one's
both
done it.
ways.
No
Not
one's
to the degree, but they have played both ways.
okay. I get that. And what if I told you Ashton Jeanty is not the only person to run
No, I
for
know
his numbers?
Melvin Gordon had similar numbers and he didn't win the Heisman. No, I get that.
Better. This dude
But
Kevin
I am
Smith from
yeah, no, I
UCF.
know. I
Uh,
know.
and
But also
I
keep
don't
in
even
mind
want to talk about Barry Sanders numbers because
Ashton Jeanty didn't play 8 quarters of football.
I totally
And
understand.
that's not his fault.
I totally get it. But also, like Ashton Jeanty, past couple weeks, I've been watching as the man who's taking.
No, he's been getting
the
fed like
second
30
the
yards.
dynasty draft room opens. Ashton Jeanty will be on my team. Mark my words, folks. But they were boosting him at the end of the game.
No,
So
yeah, I know he was getting 30
12
carries a game.
well,
Like,
he'd be
I
at
know.
like 20 carries, 48 yards, and bust off one touchdown at the end. And I'd be like, Dynasty 1-1, everybody. Don't look at the first three quarters.
No, I know, but also I'm just saying numbers wise, like not playing 8 quarters of football, having your team in the playoffs, which is really the only reason they're in the playoffs is because of him, and having your metrics that you do against stacked boxes in the way that he does. I think that's basically
He's excellent.
impressive.
He's excellent. Don't get me wrong. But
And in any other year, I think
Travis
either
Hunter
of them would probably have won.
Did something that has never been. Has never been.
True. But also, I'm gonna put this out here, and I'm gonna stand by it. He should not have won the Bolitnikoff.
Oh, I didn't even notice that he won that. I don't
Nick Nash from San Jose State was #1 in everything, and he lost to Travis Hunter, who I believe is like the highest he ranks in any category is like 8th.
Well, I mean, Bolitnikoff is just stupid. So all those individual words are just so dumb. Like,
but that's also
last
one
year
of those
Marv
things
won Bolitnikoff. Malik Neighbors should have won, and then 2 years ago, what is his face? Jalen Hyatt won. Marv should have won 2 years ago, and Jalen Hyatt won.
The moment that he won Bolitnikoff, though, I immediately knew he was going to win the Heisman, though.
Oh, like, that wasn't it for me, though. I knew he was winning when he won AP Player of the Year before. I was like, oh,
okay. Well, that's, I mean, just any of the individual awards, generally speaking. Yeah. Once he got those, it was like, okay, this is a wrap. But I don't want to disregard people and like Ashton Jeanty and people shitting on Ashton Jeanty. Like, oh, he shouldn't have won it. Like, he had a very good and very realistic campaign to win the Heisman, and any other year he probably would have won it. The only two votes I will never understand, or the only votes I will never understand, is 1, voting for Cam Ward, 2, voting for Dylan Gabriel. Your votes really should have only been Ashton Jeanty or Travis Hunter. Last one is
if you want to
Scadaboo. Scadaboo had a shit ton of votes.
2 people voted Curtis Rourke first place for the Heisman, and someone else voted Kyle McCord.
Yeah,
first.
Yep. Hey man, it's your Honda.
Yeah, people are being like, oh, the stupid Ohio State fans are like, oh my God, when are you guys going to admit Will Howard was a downgrade to Kyle McCord? And they just post stats and they're like, he's first in yards and everything. It's like, I also think Kyle McCord has 300 more pass attempts than the second highest in college football.
You just need to show them the Pitt game. Just show them the Pitt game.
Was that the one where he threw 3 pick sixes?
5 picks in total, 3 pick sixes, I believe. Yeah.
They were down
21-0. I believe they're down 21-0 just off of pick sixes in the first half. I'm pretty sure.
I can't with this guy. I can't. And he's talking all. Hey, but I'll say for him, his shit talking tirade he's been on the past 3 weeks. I'm not taking that away from him. If I were him, I'd be talking that same shit, knowing how him and his dad are. They've got that victim mentality on full display. And if I were them, I'd be exhibiting everything possible about how Ryan Day wronged me at Ohio State when Honda McCord was single-handedly the reason why Ohio State faltered last year. But yes, go on.
Go on. That was it. That was my point. You're
that was
talking
more
about that
just
guy.
yeah.
That was more of a
I'll go on to
no.
Kyle. Like
Yeah.
keep acting like you weren't the reason you held Ohio State back. Keep going like that, buddy. But yeah, big time weekend. News going down. I'd say if there was an MLB update that I got real quick at the end. Devin.
Well, do we not want to go over?
We can
college football playoffs.
We can just brief preliminary opinions on these games. We can go more in depth on it later in the week. But yeah, opening round. We're gonna go in order of least entertaining seed wise to most. Clemson, Texas. Clemson going to Austin. 11.5-point favorite for Texas. I think that line's probably about right, but yeah.
But they probably
won this football game.
I'm gonna be honest. I like Clemson plus 11.5 though.
Oh yeah, it could be close. This is the one thing I'd say. The biggest strength on Clemson is that front seven. They are animals. Okay, Texas. If there's a concern I'd have for them, and this is going back to start of the year. Quinn's obviously a question, but just going back to start of the year, Texas's two best running backs out for the year, torn ACLs before the season began.
They got to do something. Running backs are always tearing ACLs, though. We need to figure something out.
Yeah,
I don't know what's going on down there.
Texas, they got a running back issue going on, and that could be a way where Clemson can stay in this game. If they force Texas into third and long situations, make them pass, make Quinn have to beat you through his arm. But if you're Clemson, you don't want to beat Texas too bad because then Sark will put in Arch and then you're screwed. Then you lose. So you want Quinn to be just good enough that he doesn't get benched, but still bad enough that you win the football game. But in that middle ground, you want Quinn to be in the football game. But overall, it's just Texas. The Clemson offense, I'm not sure how they're going to outscore Texas. I just don't see that.
You don't
happening.
have faith in Cade Klubnik?
No. And if anyone does, please consult your local physician or psychiatrist or therapist for help. But yeah, it's a fun matchup. Color-wise, orange on orange, it's fun. Kind of like old school college football playoff. When I mean old school, I mean like 7 years ago Dabo versus like Sark, like new program on the block. So maybe a bit of a ushering in this new era of college football powerhouses. But yeah, Texas, it should be a solid win for them. But Clemson, there's a strength that does match up with some of Texas's weaknesses. SMU, Penn State. The 9 a.m. early start makes me feel like this could help out SMU slightly a little bit. But I just feel like
I think Penn State's on Eastern time though, so that I guess they've probably been there for like a week, maybe, or maybe they're treating. I think it's dependent on how they treat this game. If they treat it like a normal week, they're gonna leave the day before the game, so they leave on Friday, I guess. But that's a 10 a.m. game for them if it is East Coast time.
Yeah.
In the cold.
But yeah, no, that one should be freezing. But one thing I'd say for kind of some previews I've heard for this matchup, I've been hearing that Penn State, they may have a pretty good matchup with their passing game against SMU. And I'm talking Penn State's offense against SMU's defense. I haven't like read up on much of this personally. This is just like things I've heard. But if it's going to be 10 degrees, snowing, bad weather, that can make it more difficult to throw. So we could see a big run game reliance in this one. But I would say overall that the cold Penn State, it definitely helps them out playing in the
also
cold.
keep in mind,
I don't think it'll be that big of
SMU's
a
coming off a
disadvantage
loss too.
for
SMU's
SMU.
coming off a loss that they were getting blown out by Clemson. They came
Yeah, that's
back.
very
They
true.
were
That
getting
is true.
blown out
Oh
by
yeah.
Clemson in a game that was cold, but it's not even going to be this cold. I don't know how much weather played into them getting blown out at that point, but I don't know that this 8.5 line from Penn State. Like I I think Penn State's just one of those teams where like they could really get upset by anybody, and I wouldn't be surprised. But I like they could also just beat the brakes off of
Why do you
SMU.
say you think Penn State could just get upset and you wouldn't be surprised?
I just think generally speaking, Penn State's one of those teams where like if I were to just watch generally speaking any game and it was just Penn State playing, not like a really really crappy team, but like an okay like G5 team or like an unranked but like mediocre P4 team, like I wouldn't be surprised if they just got upset. Like it just wouldn't shock me. It just I don't know. That's just a vibe. That's just a vibe that I'm getting, and I think that SMU is kind of that kind of situation.
Yeah, so I'm not sure where you're getting that vibe.
I'm not getting it from like a specific thing. It's just a feeling. It's like also just generally speaking, when it's come to Penn State over the last couple of years, like they've been good, but they've always kind of been like the redheaded stepchild of the Big Ten. They've always missed out for something. They've always lost to something. Like
Well,
they
yeah, they
have
just can't beat Ohio State or Michigan.
true, but like even then, like they've had opportunities versus other programs, and they still have lost those games. So, I mean, I know this year's a little bit different, but I don't know. It's just a weird feeling that I get from Penn State this season. Like last year, they lost. I know it was in the play, like in the Peach Bowl, they lost to Ole Miss. Like I don't really know if that's like a great program. And I know historically, it's always been Michigan or Ohio State, but I do feel like they're never. I shouldn't say never, but I feel like they do play in some close games versus opponents they should blow out. Is a better way to put it.
Yeah, I think that is applicable in cases where they'll just like roll over a team. That's happened a good amount earlier too, but seeing how
For
Penn
reference,
State played against Oregon last week,
this is
I was
no,
just
yeah,
like,
I know, but like
oh
this is
God.
examples. Like these are like this season, this season, the examples I have are like at Minnesota, they won by one. At versus Bowling Green, they won by one touchdown. They almost lost to USC in overtime. Like those are teams I would have expected them to blow out of the water, and they just did not. I don't know. It's just
I would
those
just say
games are
Penn
giving me
State
some weird feelings.
I'd say Penn State, James Franklin, he's just like the most 10-2 coach of all time. I feel like Penn State's 10-2 every single year. End of the season, they just missed the Big Ten championship game, just short, and then their season just over because they're not in the playoff. I feel like this Penn State team is a bit different though. They, of course, they have the favorable draw, and everyone's talking about how the cakewalk is so easy. But I think that is very true. The cakewalk is quite easy. They should never lose to SMU or Boise State. That just should not happen. It could. It could. Don't get me wrong. It could, but yeah.
I also like
Penn
the
State
difference is like
one.
I also feel like if you threw Tennessee or Ohio State in here instead of Penn State, like I'd be much more confident in saying, yeah, they're gonna blow them out and they're gonna get
Well,
straight.
yeah,
through.
I think if Ohio State was playing SMU, I think the point total for that would be Ohio State 22.5.
Probably,
Penn State's 8.5.
But Penn State technically is the better team this season. So
Kind of. Well, Ohio
by
State
ranking, by ranking.
Sure. Yeah.
Record,
I would
yeah.
say though, yeah, no, that should not be a very tough game for Penn State. Indiana, Notre Dame. the Battle of Indiana. Did not think we would be seeing this college football playoff matchup, but we are.
Yeah, in South Bend too.
Yeah, this game, seeing how Indiana struggled against Ohio State, I believe, other than the very first drive of the game for Indiana and the last drive of the game for Indiana, Indiana had a total of 6 yards for their like middle 6 possessions against Ohio State. 6 yards, Everett. So Notre Dame's very, very tough to run on. They are very, very stout up front, but also their secondary is very, very.
No, they're good. Yeah, they're good.
I think Notre Dame's like a very sleeper team. They may have the best defense in this entire playoff field.
My only concern with Notre Dame is Riley Leonard.
He can't really pass. That is a problem for Notre Dame, but I think Notre Dame, they don't need to throw very much to win this game. If they can just control the game, win at the line of scrimmage, which they should. They should be winning at the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball. It's going to be tough for Indiana to win.
I will just say, though, Rourke, like, this is a game where Rourke could just come and show up. And if he shows up and for whatever reason he just starts, he's hot. He's lighting him up. Like, it could go the wrong way real quick if Notre Dame can't keep a top on that.
I would say, in a world where Curtis Rourke turned into Aaron Rodgers, yes, that would be terrifying. I do not think it is possible for him to turn to Aaron Rodgers against this defense. Here's what Curtis Rourke did against Ohio State. He was 8 for 18 with 68 passing yards, 5 sacks.
Yeah, well, also versus Michigan, the team that you guys lost to, 17 for 28, 2 touchdowns. He threw a pick, but still.
He wasn't very good in that game, taking 4 sacks in that one also.
He just gets sacked a lot in general versus any team.
Not really. But he does get sacked unless it's a good team. So, Everett, I think it's safe to say we can expect Notre Dame to get a lot of sacks.
That's what it looks like. You're looking at the numbers. Yeah.
Notre Dame's going to absolutely slaughter Indiana. Holy shit. Curtis Rourke, over under passing yards. Let's set that at 74.5. Give me the under.
Not for somebody who is very high on him for most of the season and talking him up. You are not high on him now.
Yeah, he's pretty good against like the Big Ten competition. I was a fan. This before I saw him play my team. Kurt Cignetti, I'm not sure how many people are going to be Googling you after that one. Notre Dame, they're winning that one. And then Tennessee, Ohio State. Ohio State is a 7-point favorite. My goodness. I don't know how Ohio State's a 7-point favorite.
How do you feel about this game, champ?
All right, let me start by saying this. It's been a couple of weeks. I've had some time to digest. Objectively speaking, yes, I want Ohio State to win the national championship. I do. But without doubt, if that were to happen, which I don't think Ohio State's going to win the national championship, but if that were to happen, without doubt, there's still a little missing piece in the season. That's just true. And so it's like,
well, Michigan fans would say that they won the national championship then.
Everett, I'm well aware. So I'd still want to win. Don't get me wrong. I've only won one in my life, so I'd like to see another. You don't get these opportunities very often. But yeah, no, it would definitely still feel a little strange. I don't know. I'm saying this now. If Ohio State were to go through Tennessee, Oregon, Texas, and then Georgia, yeah, all right. I'm going to be talking a lot of shit if they pull off that run. I will be. That'll be a crazy run. But in a way, because Ryan Day, Crying Day, lost to Michigan, I actually am really happy that this is Ohio State's draw. I want to go through the gauntlet because if Ohio State had SMU and then Boise State and then slaughters them and then loses the next round to Georgia, then I would be so dead inside. But at
Fire
least
Ryan Day.
with the gauntlet right now, we'll see what this team's actually made of. I don't think they're made of it, but
if Ryan Day, if
the neutral people keep pointing back to the Georgia game a couple of years ago after losing to Michigan and how that was the best Ohio State team all year for that Georgia game. So maybe, I know it could happen. They could have that fire. That could happen.
Well, then you have to be concerned about Georgia taking off Jeremiah Smith's head. But if Ohio State pulled it off and if Ohio State won the national championship, would you still want to fire Ryan Day?
No, but
only one game.
I just don't think that's possible.
So if any situation you fall short of the national championship, you still want to fire him?
Gone. If he loses to Tennessee, like, he should be fired before midnight.
Well, it's still in Ohio. They can still execute him on the L.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm not sure if AD Ross Bjork will go along with that idea. I would love to see it. I don't think he'll approve. I'll send a formal proposal later this afternoon.
Draft one up.
Yeah, no, I'll have an official document signed and sent. But no, I want this gauntlet. I want to play the best, because like this team, it's like for me to feel any sort of pride on this team, they have to run the gauntlet and they have to start beating teams. Because it's like if they beat Penn or SMU, Boise State, and then they had like, I don't know how it'd match it, but like if they had Notre Dame the next round, and then like in the Natty they have Oregon, then they like win that. It's like, all right, cool, but like it doesn't really like change my opinion on Ryan Day. Like I still think of him the same. If he goes through this Tennessee, Oregon, Texas, Georgia gauntlet, my opinion of him will change. Right now, though, is the lowest I've ever had in terms of a confidence meter. The meter isn't even.
It's just
available.
Flatlined.
Yeah, the meter's not even like present. We gotta build some trust to even have the meter on the screen to say 0%, because we're not even there yet, Ryan. So, yeah, they're going to have to go through this gauntlet for me to feel any ounce of pride being an Ohio State fan. But I doubt that happens. I'll say, though, with that being said, I expect Ohio State to beat Tennessee. I expect that to happen, but Tennessee's a really damn good football team. And like, it's not in the ways that people would think when you think of Josh Heupel, Tennessee, or going back to Hendon Hooker year, we're thinking offense, points, go, passing game. That's what people thought going into the season too, with Nico at quarterback, but he's not quite ready yet to just be throwing for 400 yards every game and just dicing up defenses. He's not quite there yet. But the one thing I'll say about Tennessee is they have an excellent front seven and excellent running game. And on the defense side of the ball, there's nothing like specifically exotic or anything. It's just your classic SEC defense with just killers all over the field, especially at edge. But on offense, the one thing about Tennessee that like I've found so interesting past few years, they run a veer and shoot offense with the craziest wide receiver splits in the history of this game. The ball will be dead center. Did my mic cut out? No, you're good. I was just going to say former Tulane wide receiver on Tennessee right now. Oh, is it Brazel? Yep. Yeah, but they have exotic wide receiver splits. The ball will be dead center of the field in the middle of the hashes, and both of their wide receivers will be outside the numbers. So like literally standing on the sidelines. Like their wide receivers are spread. And because of that, you have to, like, Nico can throw streaks down the sideline. He can hit those throws. So you have to put guys in the secondary on the sideline away from the middle. And then that's where Tennessee runs the ball on your ass with a 6-man box. And all the DBs are quite literally uninvolved in the play. So that's how they get you on offense. They force you out wide. You have to put your DBs out to the sidelines because Nico will just make that throw and beat you that way. And when you have your defense so spaced out, spread it out, you just run up the middle. And it works quite well for them. So this is going to be a very big game for the Ohio State front seven. I'd say if I were to rank front sevens, by nature of us not being able to beat our demons, Michigan will be the toughest front seven we face all season. But in nature, that should be Tennessee.
James Pierce, man, he's good.
He's very good.
James Pierce is very good.
He's very good. But yeah, that Tennessee team is electric. I would just say in general, though, like since we started this podcast, I've like become a bit of a Tennessee fan. Hendon Hooker is my absolute guy. I love Hendon Hooker. So as a personal fandom, it's cool that Ohio State's going to play Tennessee. That's a matchup that would quite literally never happen ever unless this playoff existed. Everett, I believe this is the first time that Tennessee has gone north and played an away football game like in Big Ten country since 1970.
I mean, there's also a non-zero chance. Like Texas, Ohio State, I can't tell you the last time I saw that matchup either. Like that.
Like literally, I only know that happened in like 2006 or 2007 because like my dad has talked about that recently, but like that's happened once in my lifetime, Ohio State, Texas. So like we're going to get a ton of exciting matchups that you just will not normally see. Man.
Texas, Arizona State. I cannot wait for that game.
Yeah, I mean, that's I mean,
Georgia, Boise State, man. I am on the edge of my seat.
Where's the Peach Bowl? Where's the Peach Bowl?
That's Atlanta.
Okay, yeah, that's Atlanta, and then Sugar Bowl's at the Superdome. Yeah. Okay, that's it. Yeah, I was thinking like, wait, wouldn't Georgia want Peach Bowl? But nah, Sugar Bowl's Georgia. That's what it's at. Sugar Bowl's Georgia. Yeah.
The Orange Bowl's in Miami, right? Yeah.
Yes.
I believe it is.
Yes.
Gross outdoor stadium. In a place that rains. Doesn't rain in LA. So
depending on the Dolphins schedule, that game might be like the day before a Dolphins game, and it's like it'll be the worst field ever because they had to replace that in like 3 hours. I'm just thinking about that.
Tyreek Hill might tear his ACL that next day.
Will tear his ACL and Waddle, both of them get a little 2-for-1.
Waddle's already hurt. But yeah, I mean, you were talking about the MLB. We could wrap up with that. I don't know if you like what specifically you wanted to bring up.
Just a quick little update overall with moves. Yankees trade for Devin Williams, and the Brewers actually accepted a deal on the table, sending Devin Williams to the Dodgers. But in that trade, the Dodgers would have to given up Gavin Lux, and so Dodgers backed out. Said,
"Why did we not do that?"
And this is what I'm thinking. Right now, the current state of MLB second baseman. There aren't many second basemen in the MLB that are good. And so because of that, it sounds crazy because on our team, he's the 8th best hitter. But Gavin Lux is like probably like the 14th, 15th best second baseman in the MLB. And we don't need Devin Williams. If you look at the bullpen, we got righties for days. Kopech, Trinan, Phillips. We got righties. That's not our problem. The problem is lefties. It is Alex Vesia and Anthony Banda. And I don't know if Banda is actually going to be on the team next year. Righty. But the only lefties.
I thought he was a lefty.
Only lefties, Vesia and Banda. And
Dustin May gives very serious lefty vibes.
From the hair, yes, but the 102 sinkers, if there was a lefty that threw 102 sinkers, who are you? Where are you? And why aren't you a Dodger right now? If that guy exists, but we need a lefty reliever to help out Vesia, and so that's why I think if you were to give me pick between Devin Williams and Tanner Scott, the best 2 relievers available, I would take Tanner Scott every single time. My one caveat to this, though, is that right now the Dodgers, of our top 10 prospects, I believe 6 through 9, 6, 7, 8, and 9 are all shortstops who are all like 19 years old. We don't need all four of them, Everett. We don't need four shortstops that are the same age. That like we physically can't all use them at the same time. Like if they were to get called up, so deal one of them, deal two of them. I don't care.
I mean, shit, it took Andy Pages probably 6 seasons to finally get called up. I think I've seen him in MLB The Show since I started buying the game.
Oh,
in
yeah.
2018.
Well, I'll be honest. Right now, the guy that you'll be seeing for a while, Josue De Paula, I believe he's 19 now. He's probably not going to get called up for like 4 or 5 years, but that is if you try to trade with the Dodgers and you say Jose, you just say his first name, immediately phone hung up, number blocked. All future communications cease to exist if you even bring up his name. So that's what I've been hearing. But right now, if I'm the Dodgers, I'm going after Tanner Scott. It's a reliever. He shouldn't be that much money. I'd say like 2 years, 25, or like 3 years, 33. Fine, do it. But that's what I heard. But the other exciting news, Corbin Burns, who I'm not sure if you remember this, Everett, but right after we won the World Series, Corbin Burns quote tweeted the Dodgers winning with the eye emojis.
Yep.
And according to Corbin Burns's camp, he is, this isn't official, but he is listening and open to a shorter deal worth more AAV, like the Trevor Bauer contract.
An option deal as well, too.
With opt-outs like after every season and everything. And so with that in mind, Corbin Burns is now an option for the Dodgers. If those opt-outs are in place, like right now, the Dodgers do not care about luxury tax money. They would give him $50 million a year for 2 years, whatever. That's fine.
Hey, let's not forget Roki Sasaki is still in play too. On top of that,
that is priority number one. Okay, that is priority number one. Do not get me wrong. And priority number two is Teoscar Hernandez. But the way it's looking right now, it's not looking like Teoscar is going to re-sign. I don't know exactly, but
can go get Belly.
I would imagine teams like Giants involved, not Mets don't have the money, but like Giants specifically or Padres, like they might just be like, all right, Teoscar, 4 years, 170. Woo. Yeah. Like they would just give it to him despite us. That's actually a better example right there. The Rangers, they'll just, do it.
Fuck it.
So that's what I'm kind of looking at. But overall, like right now, like there's like no big name hitting free agents. They're like all gone. It's pretty much just like a couple of pitchers, but it was pretty much just Soto for this class. Soto, Snell, Burns.
Well, and Roki's probably the second biggest
separate,
free agent.
No, yeah,
I know it's separate, but just names.
No,
just player names to add to teams. Soto is one. Roki's probably two.
He is. Yeah. Like if Roki was 25 years old right now, he would have made way more.
I saw some stuff about was it Suzuki? What was his name?
Seiya Suzuki on the Cubs?
Yes. Yeah, I saw some stuff about Seiya Suzuki as well. I don't really think that that's coming to fruition at all, but I did see that name passed around a little bit regarding the Dodgers and possibilities.
Oh yeah, there was some trade. I'm not sure if it was for Bellinger or if it was for somebody else. I don't entirely remember, but yeah, I was seeing that name float around. I think though, if I'm Bellinger, like I'm telling Scott Boras, send me to New York, and I want to go play in New York. His dad was on the Yankees. His dad like won a ring with the Yankees. Like he wants to play there. So I'd try to get my way into New York if I was Cody. And also just Belly and Judge together would be great content.
One of them can field. We know one of them can field.
Oh yeah. And it's like, that's another thing. Like Judge, like he needs to go back to right. Cody can play center. I know Cody just moved over to right because Pete was playing center, but Cody's like, when Cody was the first baseman for the Dodgers, I was like, dude, this is like the most athletic player on the team. Why is he playing first base? Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, Cody's just absolute dog. We'll love him forever. But yeah, that's the MLB update. I think Dodgers kind of need to go full court press here for Tanner Scott, or else there's going to be no big name guy we get, because Crochet's on the Red Sox. That was the other guy through trade.
Yep.
It was either Crochet or Devin Williams through trade, or Snell, Tanner Scott through free agency. And it looks like we're going for the free agent route. So yeah, I expect Tanner Scott to be a Dodger, though. That should happen. If that doesn't happen, I don't know what they're doing.
Well, you know what? To each their own. Like, also, if we don't get Tanner Scott, it's not necessarily the end of the world. Like, can't
It
complain
isn't.
about
It's just that
too
is
much.
like I literally think right now in the MLB there might be 8 reliable lefty relievers in all of baseball, and if we could have 2 of them, give me that.
Is Yohan Duran a lefty? No, he's got to be a righty. He's got to be a righty.
Pretty much anyone who throws
right.
heat is a righty.
Righty.
Anyone who throws hard is a righty, pretty much.
I feel like I've seen a couple pitchers who have thrown heat, not like many, but I feel like I've seen 1 or 2 recently that are lefties.
I mean, of course,
that's why I'm like
Chapman, but it's like he's washed.
Yeah, I'm like just trying to think. Like, there was somebody somebody that I've been thinking about, which is why I thought Dustin May was a lefty and why I was thinking Yohan Duran was lefty. But there's somebody that I've seen that it might be Hader. It might be.
He's like the only hard throwing lefty right now.
That might be the combination of speed and hair that made me think both of them.
Actually, no, that's why you thought Dustin May and Josh Hader look the same, except Dustin May has curly hair. But other than that, they look the same.
Yeah, that actually is definitely.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense now that I think about that. Yeah, no, I understand now. But yeah, no, it's Hader. Hader's the best lefty reliever. I would then say then it is Tanner Scott. Or actually, Vesia might be better than Tanner Scott, to be honest. But Tanner Scott's long-term very reliable. But those are the guys very key players if we could have them. Very, very key lefties that we could have in the arm. And hey, right now the Mets, we're gonna need to get Juan Soto out, lefty. I'd rather bring in the lefty reliever to go face Soto than someone else. So
the one thing I hope is Dave takes in his managerial tactics from the World Series that he actually learned. He applies them going forward.
I feel so confident moving forward. That I also just loved that one Blake Treinen moment in Game 5, where he talked about it afterwards.
The chest pat,
poke. He was 3 years ago, I would have pulled Blake, and I would not have trusted Blake to get those next 2 outs. But he was like, hey, I've grown as a manager, and in that moment, I trusted him. But little things like that, it's will only come with experience, and Dave knowing these guys, being their manager for 4, 5, 6+ years. He knows them quite well. A rare example of longevity actually working out eventually. A rare example of it happening, but it did. Yeah. But yeah, those are kind of the big time news in baseball. Yeah, there's really not many big name free agents. Last year or 2 cycles ago was ridiculous. There was 18 pitchers and 40 position players up. But
Freddie,
Freddie, Correa was up. Soto got traded, but that still counted in the offseason frenzy. You know what I'm saying though. Or Trey Turner was up.
Yeah, I believe
Scherzer and Verlander were up.
Yep, and DeGrom I think was up too.
Yes, DeGrom was up. Seager was up. It was actually the most nuts year of all time. Now that I'm actually thinking about it, we just listed off 4 MVPs right there. But yeah.
Well, there's also a chance. Yeah, you said Verlander too. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, that'll do it. That'll do it for MLB. But next episode, bigger preview. We have a massive week of NFL coming up here. Very massive week. These next 3 weeks, this is the playoff picture. Everybody spends 30 minutes a day just plugging in the different win-loss scenarios, what happens. So that's what we're all doing right now whenever we're messing around. So yeah, this is a very fun time of the season, but hopefully by the time this comes out, Vanilla Ice had an excellent halftime show
Yeah, I'm
performance last
actually
night.
I'm actually looking right now at a practice video from him practicing his
Oh, good,
performance for
good,
halftime.
good.
Very small stage, very very small stage. But yeah, with that, thank you guys so much for watching, listening. Rate us 5 stars. You can find us on Spotify, TikTok, YouTube, Twitter, and on Instagram at WaterboyPod. You can follow me around on Twitter at Everett6 at WaterboyGrant. We post new episodes every week on YouTube and all podcast platforms. So make sure to subscribe, turn notifications so every single episode. We also post exclusive content on TikTok if it is still even available when you're listening to this, and on Instagram at WaterboyPod. So make sure to check us out there as well. With that, we'll see you guys next episode. Waterboys out.